Good morning, everyone. Slow start here this morning. It is September 30th, 2015, and I am Coach Jaynine, the owner of Dreamcatcher, and I am a business and career coach, and I am here to help you each morning get motivated to start your day and to share as I wake up with my coffee, some tips on, that will propel you for business and personal success. You don't have to be a business owner to join us, but it's main topic. Hey, Steve, good morning. Just getting started here. We're off to a slow start. So every morning I read from Joel Osteen a short passage, and then we jump in with the topic. And today we're going to be talking about presence, and being present. So let me get through our morning motivation from Joel Osteen, and then we'll jump in talking about using the gifts we were given, our presence, and developing our presence as we enter the room and work with people, and then actually being present in any given situation. So let's listen to what Joel's got to share with us this morning, and then we'll be talking about presence, and presence. All different kinds of presents. I love presents. Plus, it's getting close to Christmas. So here we go. Tapping in to God's power. I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God, through Christ Jesus, is calling us. Philippians 3:14. I've had people tell me, Joel, I know that someday I'll be happy. I know that one day I'll enjoy my life in the sweet by and by. I appreciate what they are saying, but God wants us to enjoy our lives right here in the nasty now. Ooh. He wants us to have a little heaven on earth right here where we are. One of the reasons Christ came was that we might live an abundant life. You can be happy and free in this life, not simply in heaven one of these days. You can accomplish your dreams before you go to heaven. Hey, Austin, welcome. How can you do that? By tapping into God's power inside you. The Bible says Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law. The curse is behind any kind of defeat, sin, mistakes, wrong choices, fear, worry, constant sickness, unhealthy relationships, or bad attitudes. Please understand that those are all things from which we have already been set free. But here's the catch. If you don't appreciate and take advantage of your freedom, if you don't get your thoughts, your words, your attitude going in the right direction, it won't do you any good. You may be sitting back waiting on God to do something supernatural in your life, but the truth is God is waiting on you. You must rise up in your authority, have a little backbone and determination, and say, I'm not going to live in mediocrity, bound by addictions, negative, and defeated. No, I'm going to do as the Apostle Paul and start pressing forward. I'm going to take hold of everything God has in store for me. The truth is, God is waiting on you. You got to do your part, people. Many times we're like dogs that have been left on their leashes so long that they've gotten used to their limitations. We're conditioned to failure. We may be free, but we're not acting free or living free. God has loosened our leashes of addictions, of personal defeats, of bad attitudes. The problem is we're not walking out of them. I've always been this way. I've always had problems with my temper. I've always, we know those people. We hear what they're saying. No, you need to realize you have already been set free. 2,000 years ago, God loosened your collar, and now it's up to you to start walking out of it. So how do you go beyond your previous limitations? You change your attitude. Quit saying, I can't, I never, I always, I got too much to be overwhelmed, blah, 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 blah. Every enemy in your life has already been defeated, enemies of worry, depression, addiction, financial lack, and you have the power over all of them. The same power that raised Christ from the dead is inside you. There is nothing in your life that you cannot overcome. No hurt is too deep that you cannot forgive. You have the power to let go of the negative things of your past. You may have been knocked down 1,000 times, but you have the power to get up again. The medical report may not look good, but you have the power to stay strong. Refuse to sit back and accept things that are less than God's best. Your attitude should be, I know my chains have been removed. I know the price has been paid. And even if I have to believe my whole lifetime, even if I have to stand in faith till the day I die, I'm not going to sit back and accept a life of mediocrity. I'm going to keep pressing forward. Whew. So that's a good one. Good morning, Ed. And who else have we got on here? We got Austin. Oh, Austin, you're on a train. Where are you headed this morning? I got some open seats, so jump on. I want to talk about this morning, you know, I think the message from Joel Osteen is very, very good. You know, we've all got the choices. We all have free will on what we do with our life. And it's a beautiful option. It's a beautiful life. It's a beautiful thing that most people don't take advantage of. They're stuck in their negativity. So that's why this morning I want to talk about presence, presence, and presence. And, you know, presence, P-R-E-S-E-N-T, and presence, P-R-E-S-E-N-C-E, I need more coffee, are two words that sound the same but have different meanings, very different meanings. And we all love presents. We all love gifts. And they're the ones we receive and give each other. You know, and the other presence, P-R-E-S-E-N-C-E, is the way we project ourselves. It's the way how others see us. Presents are tangible. Presence is felt internally by us and others. And they both contribute to success and happiness. And this is, I'm kind of reading off an old article I wrote, gosh, a couple years ago, when somebody who was, in my opinion, one of those power players said he was intimidated by me from the first minute he saw me walk in a room and command the room. And I've actually had, this summer when I was teaching interpersonal psychology, one of the students said, how much would it be for you to teach me to be like you? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She says, well, just everything, the way you dress, the way you come into the classroom, the way you redirect people. I want to learn to be like you. And, you know, I think that was probably one of the best compliments I've ever had. But I said, well, you know, tried to think, well, where did I learn this presence? And I think it actually, you know, being in the military, working at the Pentagon, being partly miserable sometimes, and just having to have, you know, being the lowest ranking person too, but a very important job. I was the gatekeeper. If they were rude to me, no matter what their rank, they didn't get passed to talk to the Secretary of the Navy. So your presence is very important. But let's focus on the presents, the gifts God gave you first. You know, I think when people are not using their God-given talents, they're miserable. When, you know, they're not enjoying their, you know, I hate to use the word job, because to me, sorry, gotta get more coffee, guys. Job has a negative connotation. I don't feel like anything I really do is a job per se, because I love all the different facets that make up my business, my life, my, you know, what I choose to do with my waking hours, so to speak, because I have fun. I feel like I'm using the gifts God gave me. I really do. And it took me a long time to step into that and embrace those gifts and to fine tune and realize what they are. And I think, Austin, you were on yesterday and we were kind of talking about this, and Steve, you've been on when we've had some of these conversations too. It takes some fine tuning. Things we've done in the past help us see what our gifts are, what our life purpose is. So there's not really wasting time unless you're not paying attention and following, you know, and Austin, you always say it too, it's what's in your heart, what you feel in your heart. If your heart is alive and you just feel great, you're probably doing what's unique for you, one of your, again, God-given talents. I can't be an artist. I'm not an artist. I don't have that crafty, you know, I've got the basic level crafty gene. I don't have that's what I would be able to do to support myself. But I do surround my team with a team of people who can create fabulous infographics for me, or I may have a little input at sometimes, but a lot of times, like if I gave them this article, Judy would be able to come up with some wonderful infographics for it. I've got a guy over on Fiverr that would turn this into a wonderful PowerPoint that I would create into a video with voiceover. I've got another team guy who would turn this into another really nice infographic with everything, all the little whatevers. So, I do my part, and I've got my team who can do the rest that I'm not the best at. And I think that's part of, using your presence and not being sad or disappointed that you can't do what somebody else can do, because you're not meant to do that. So use the gifts God gave you. Be willing to be bold and operate from a place that's not always safe. Sometimes it's uncomfortable when you're stepping into using your gifts. The first time I spoke at a women's group, good morning, the gratitude coach has joined us. Women's group, I speak to small groups. I like small, intimate groups of like 15 people are mostly my retreats, because I just connect better with very small groups, and my clients like small groups. One retreat I had 30 some people, and my key best clients who've been with me for life said, Jaynine, please, we will pay more money, keep it small. And I said, okay. So I know that's what my clients like. But when I stepped up and not knowing that I accepted a speaking engagement, a paid speaking engagement, one of my very first paid speaking engagements to a women's church group, I just thought, oh, it's going to be, a cute little blue-haired ladies church group. And it even makes me sweat thinking about it. It was stepping out. When we got closer, and they scheduled me like 9 months in advance. And as we got closer, and I said, well, can I come see the venue? So I know, because I like to walk around a lot. I'm not typically a podium hugger. And she said, oh, sure. And did you know we're sold out? And I said, well, that's wonderful. How many people? And she said, 350. And, I just about went, oh, but it was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I can do this. I will do this, and I will rock it. And it just, stepping out of that comfort zone. And so then when I so that wasn't the only, oh my God, it was when I get there to view the venue, beautiful church, beautiful venue. And she says, oh, and by the way, did you know you are the first female speaker we've ever had in the history of this event, and you're the first non-pastor to be speaking as the keynote for our event. So now I've got like 3, oh my gods. But I did it. Again, I used the gifts, the presence that God had given me. Yes, Steve, I was like, oh my God. But I did it. They loved it. And you've got to, everything we do using our presence, our gifts from God, won't be easy. Like Steve says, pressure, yeah. But you know what? I can do it now. And then a couple years later, last year, I got an invitation to partner with somebody. I love LinkedIn. That's where I get all the really good, fun things to do. A retired Marine who's got a business had put in a proposal to do a TED Talk. He had a TED Talk and a couple other huge speaking engagements, one at Cal Berkeley and one in Vegas, to a group of women, Fortune 500 business owners. And he had billed that he had a woman veteran to be the speaker. And so he called me in a panic and he said, I'm so close to getting these contracts and I don't have a female veteran that I'm promoting that I have. Can you step in and help us? So, of course, I said yes. And you've still got to challenge yourself to fully embrace the gifts God gave you. I mean, jumping in on these blabs is pressure. It's trying something new. I got on this morning and nothing worked. It sat there spinning. I had to finally, I'm clicking, trying to get it to work. It canceled out. I had to restart. Oh well, it's part of the learning that goes along with life. So I challenge you to use the gifts God gave you. Just be bold, be daring, even if, for me, and I can only speak, most people I meet, we're not using the gifts. We weren't groomed to use the gifts God gave us. We were groomed to be practical, to have practical jobs. I joined the Marine Corps for 20 and was in for 20 years to set, and I say that was a stepping stone. I got my military retirement. I was able to go to college and get my degrees in psychology. That wasn't what I was supposed to be doing because it's not the perfect fit for me. And I had somebody last night, one of my classes was ending, and they said, really, what do you do? And I said, I get people to take action, whether it's a business owner or a career person or just somebody. I get them to really take action, and I can't do that as a therapist, but I can do it. As a therapist, I'm just more listening and guiding and helping them. But as a coach, I can really jump in when they don't know what they want and give them options, and they're like, okay, I don't get it, but I'm going to go with this one, and I know it'll all work out. Good morning, Derek. So that's part of stepping in and using the gifts you were given. Getting away from maybe the practical, the safe, and stepping into using the gifts you were given. Now, your presence, stepping in, the PRESENCE, your presence, that's really how you project yourself. It's how do you walk in the room? Do you walk in the room and just, and I, like I was saying at the beginning, I don't know how I developed that. I think it was just maybe watching people and it's just part of who I am. I walk in a room and I pause and, because I'm more the introvert, I scan the room to see, and really I'm scanning the room to see, is there anybody I know? What are these people all about? I'm making my judgments on how I'm going to present myself based on that short pause and scanning the room. But it really is, when I would like to walk in and be the little mouse just hiding, you can't. It's shoulders back, head high, and it's that, sometimes it's that deep breath in a prayer. But you're walking in with confidence, even if your stomach and insides and your knees are shaking. I think that's probably why I wear skirts all the time, so no one can see my knees shake. And you just do it. It's practice, but you just do it. And it gets easier over time. That's what I was telling my student. It just gets easier over time. First time I walked into a classroom and had never taught a college classroom, I had to, I was a bumbling fool. I didn't know what I was doing. Now I walk in and, I have learned I am just me. Kind of like the student last week who said, well, we have a boring professor in another class. How do we tell him he's boring and to change his style? I said, you don't. You adjust to him, just like you have to adjust to me, because this is our job, our role. And Steve says it's always best to be yourself. It is, because you know what? That's when you're miserable. That's when life is no fun, when you have to be somebody else. And I am very blessed that when I was doing podcasts and some radio, people just kept saying, I had a radio coach who tried to groom me to be this person who didn't talk with her hands and swivel in her chair and all these other things. And the talking over people, that just drove me nuts, because I'm a listener. And I'm like, but oh no, you're the one in the seat. You're in control. You need to cut them off after X amount of seconds and start in something else. That's never me. It's not my style. So like Steve said, it's be yourself. And I'm blessed that I had people who said, no, you just keep being you. And that's why people will connect with you. And I believe that. So when you're developing your presence, pay attention to how others are responding to you. What is their body language? Do you make them nervous? I try not to, and I can tell when I do, and it's like, okay, let me tone my, I know I've got that inner Marine that comes out. Good morning, Ed. And I've got to sometimes tone it down for some people and make a conscious effort. But, when you speak, do people listen? Are they on their smartphone? What's going on? Are they scared? Do they seem scared, edgy, happy? What's going on? So think about this, again, the way you present yourself is done internally, and a lot of times you're not aware of it. You may not. I have a client, I love her to death, but she's always so focused on her job. I mean, her profession, I'll say her profession, her dream, doing her dream, that sometimes she's always got a scowl on her face and she comes off a little grouchy looking. And I thought when I first met her, she hated my guts. And now she's I consider her one of my best friends. She's in my inner circle. Yes, she is an artist. She's very, yes, I would put her in that artist. She's a designer. And so now we have worked on, okay, you need to sometimes, if somebody speaks to you and you're busy designing, working, stop and make a conscious effort to smile. And she wears glasses, so it's hard to see her eyes. Now, I wear these only because it's morning and I don't have a ton of makeup on, and I need them to read up close, but or else normally I don't wear glasses. But I could see, I'm kind of liking that look, though. But it's like, okay, and she wears, the bifocals, and it's like, okay, you need to take time to pause and smile and greet them. And is that a little bit out of her comfort zone? Yes. Is it a little bit not who she is? Yes, but it's part of the presence. She is a very nice person. Once you are in her inner circle, you are there, and there is nothing that girl would not do for you. But it's breaking that barrier. So if you're a business owner, or even just in the workplace, a manager or an employee. It's very important, even as an employee, not to be the mousy employee, to be confident, not cocky and overly, in the face. Topic here is if it's a topic or event I know enough about, I'm confident. If I'm not, I'm nervous at first until I figured out the room. Exactly. That is exactly what I was talking about when I walk in and I just kind of scan. Because I'm not going to let people, you do have to figure out. Yeah, and I picked that up real early in the Marine Corps. It was like when you go to a new duty station, you don't just bounce in the room and be this yourself. You have to stop and figure out. It takes you a month or two to figure out. You got to go in hard and be in the Marine Corps. But who are these people and what is their way? Good morning, Ian. And then you can soften down, but you can never go in soft and then come out, try to make it be harder. And maybe that's not the correct term for everybody. It's more how we talked about it in the Marine Corps, yeah. Because people then will be like, well, why is she all of a sudden a hard ass when she was super nice at the beginning? So your presence is very important. Because remember, it only takes somebody like maybe, if the number changes, 7 seconds, 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds to look at you and sum up and make an opinion about you. So again, the way you dress, your grooming, and I look like a hot mess this morning, body language. But again, this is a 6 a.m. call, so we're not supposed to be looking all beauty queen and glamorous here. This is just to get us motivated in the right frame of mind to start our day. So all those things, the body language, all contribute to the opinions others form about you and your skills. And that's the one I have a hard time with people understanding, not only with their personal presence, but their online presence, whether it's the email address. I have a client, almost every client I would say I get, I have to tell them to ditch the Hotmail and the Yahoo for a more professional email, like a Gmail, or one that's, with their business name, because it looks junior high, it looks dated. AOL, some people still have AOL out there. But people are judging your skills by that. I had a resume one day, somebody was, it was something from back in the early times of Microsoft, and they still had it on their resume. I said, get that off. It looks like you've done nothing since. So even your online presence, your clothing, there's, you don't have to be the fashionista, but you do need to have, unfortunately, again, it's perception, some of this, and we're judged by how we look. So if you're wearing something that's torn, that's dirty, stained, out of style, they're going to assume your skills are out of style, out of date. not up to par, or sloppy. So when you're making those first impressions, it's very important to look the part, look polished. Only an artist can get away with it sometimes, and that is probably true. Or, a car mechanic. Now, if you go to a car, take your car to the shop, and the mechanic, of course you expect him to have some grease under his nails but again, you know your industry. So take care of your presence. And then being present. Being present is the third contributor to success. So we've got using your presence, your gifts given, developing your presence. Now just actually being present, being cognizant of how you show up each day. Are you focused, free from distractions? We had a really good question right as we were ready to end yesterday about how when you're just overwhelmed with family and life, to separate it from the business stuff that needs to be done, how to keep those separate. And it really is hard to do, but a lot of it is just going back to managing your time, making sure you're not, I think Austin said it, you can't multitask, it doesn't work. You've got to, devote time. Okay, these, say it's kids with report cards, teachers conferences. Okay, that is blocked. It'll be taken care of during these hours. Now I move on to employee issues, packaging issues, or whatever it is with the business side. And you really devote your full energy to those things so that you're not wasting your time. Business owners often find themselves operating, as an employee instead of the decision maker of the business. And that's not good either. And job seekers, they waste away the day worrying about outdated skills instead of taking care of it. I see this all the time that I applied for all these jobs. Well, you're applying, but you have outdated skills. How about you go to the college and take a few free courses on Microsoft or whatever it is you need. I keep picking on Microsoft because that's one that's always changing the office skills. And get the things you need, but it's staying focused. It's, even when you go to networking events, have you ever been trying to engage in a conversation with somebody and the person is over, you see them looking over your shoulder that somebody else they'd rather talk to, they're not with you. And that just leaves a feeling because they don't want to talk to you. They're not trying to talk to you. So they're not even present. They're not present because they're over here wanting to go talk to that person. So again, when you use your presence that you are given, you're aware of your presence, and you're present every day. You are focused. You are aware of what's going on. You're not just letting life happen and pass you by. Those things will improve your chances for success. You will be successful because you're doing what you want. You're using your God-given talents. You're stepping it up. And, it's funny because even when we talk about the presence, in our emails, in our written communication, it's even using spell check, Grammarly, some of those type of things. They all contribute to our presence. So don't let me sit here by myself. We still got about 25 minutes, so we've got some open seats if anybody wants to jump on and share. I see, good comments here. Love to, contribute. What would you add to this conversation? What would you add? Or what do you think is important? And how do you what are some tips you would share for developing your presence when you're starting out or you're in a situation that you feel like you're ill prepared for and your knees are shaking and your heart's racing? I don't know if Austin's still on here, if he's left. I know he would tell us to breathe, which is very important. And, it is that mental mindset of, I can do this, I've got it, and I'm going to make it work. I'm going to rock it. I'm going to be the rock star, and I'm going to go forward. And even our day, just our normal day, can be like that. And when I talk about, your presence and being present, I think it's almost more not as much about, part of it is about, it's probably 50-50. Okay, 50, maybe not, but 50% is you, how you're projecting, but also, are you able to tune into that other person and make them feel comfortable, making them feel valued and appreciated? I kind of picked on job seekers who have outdated skills, but it's still leaving them feeling good about themselves. It's like you still have all these wonderful things you're doing, so let's keep moving forward. But it's how do you make the person, okay, Steve, join us as soon as you can. It's still, how can you make that, do you make that person feel comfortable? Because we've all been around that person that makes us feel dumb or less than, or my favorite term is I always feel like the village idiot when I'm around certain people. And when I've been in a situation like that, it's always an eye opener. It's like, good gosh, I hope I am not making somebody feel like that. Yes, I can be rough and edgy just because of my personality, who I am, but I also know and hope that I am leaving them inspired. And I know 99% of the time I am, and they will tell me that. They said, you always make me feel so good. But yet there's a dose of my reality check in there. But that's also part of your presence. How is that person feeling after you've had, a meeting with them? I had a phone conversation with a prospective client over the weekend, and it was a referral, and the person knows, it's not her comfort zone of what we'll be working on or the project I will be helping her with for her business. But it was, it's, I'm trying to think how to word it. How we'll just say social media. I love social media, and some people don't. They know nothing about it. I don't want to leave her feeling, the person I'm talking to, feeling dumb about not knowing social media, or not even wanting to embrace it and wanting to totally outsource it. I want to leave her feeling empowered as a business owner, that she is bringing on the right person to her team so she can focus on what are her good God-given talents and do what she's supposed to be doing. Because remember, we all can't do everything. We can't do everything in our business. It just doesn't work that way. There's not enough hours. We're not an expert at everything. As much as we would like to pretend we are not perfect at everything. That's why you've got to slowly build your team with people who are good at the things you're not. But build people up instead of tearing them down. I guess that's what I'm talking about. There's a balance between that and knowing, again, how do you make them feel? And watch the body language. Watch the body language. Watch the shoulders. Okay, we got Steve joining us, so I don't have to talk all alone.
Hey.
Hey, Steve.
Would you like me to call you Jaynine or Coach? What's the handle that you prefer?
Jaynine.
Jaynine. Okay.
You can call me Jaynine.
Jaynine. Okay. I just wanted to pick up on how do you make people feel? Because as you get older, and when your life's said and done, what really matters is the relationships that you form with people. That's what people remember you. Well, they're going to remember you as a nice person, a helpful person. And I know career is important as well, but there's I forget, I'm going to badly quote this, but there's a verse in the Bible about treating rich people and poor people, and when they come into church, and it says, do you treat the rich person, make a big fuss of them, but the poor person you say sit at the back? Do you know the verse?
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking we just had it like this past Sunday or something.
Yeah. So, and hey, it's not like I'm some massive saint. I'm just as guilty. I talk to the people that I like, but I try to make an effort to talk to people that I don't know, because I know what it's like when you walk into a room and you don't know anyone. It's pretty intimidating.
It is. I don't like networking events for that very reason, but I kind of try to do the same thing, because I've been that person standing there by myself, kind of the wallflower, like, oh gosh, again, kind of like nobody likes me. I have no friends. I'm standing here by myself. So I always try to make a point to go to that person because I remember what it was like not knowing anybody.
That's a good trait to
and
have.
It's scary and intimidating.
It is.
Yeah.
Mind you, I learned.
Why do you think we get so caught up and forget to be nice, I guess is the word, and think about how others are feeling? I think we've gotten away from that.
I think so. I think society's probably still in a narcissistic phase, and we have to. If I can preach for a sec, I think there's a financial crash coming, and I think it will do us all the world of good because we'll get away from possessions, we'll get back into community. Have less money to go around, so people relate to each other. So I think it will do us good as a society just to get back to our roots.
And we could take that comment into a whole nother blab session, because I have read for here anyway, that in the United States, we're gearing up for another recession. And so as a small business owner, I started during the recession, but I've seen some things this past year, and it's like I have got to gear up in a different direction on being prepared for it. And that was one of the things that social media was fabulous for helping me help other business owners during the last recession. But and you think about, well, why do these things happen? And I think it is partly to get back to what's important.
Yeah.
The simplicity, people have just, I don't know.
Community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm
community,
so sorry.
Yeah.
I've got to dash off again, but I'm listening. I'm listening down there. All right.
Okay. Thanks for joining us. Great comments as always. So guys, we got other seats if anybody wants to join us. Those are some powerful things. It is back to community. And I catch myself sometimes too being the ugly neighbor. I don't want to somebody moved in and they put up an ugly shed and they've got an ugly tent, and when I go in my backyard, I see this ugliness, and now I want a privacy fence, and their gate opens into my, and I catch myself being the ugly one and trying to balance. Okay, I really don't want this eyesore. I don't like that they're always coming into my yard and moving my lawn furniture. I don't, but then it's like, well, I try to step back. Well, what is going on? Who are they? And trying to be neighborly. But I do think it goes back to the community too, and trying not to overly judge, even though we do. So remember, when it's our presence we're talking about, and as a business owner or an employee, we always got to put our best foot forward, best face forward, best emails, best written communication forward. But then take the time to also, try to understand the other person. I saw somebody post something the other day. They said, the mom you're bashing who's got the dirty clothes, whatever, she used her last laundry detergent to wash the kids' clothes so they were clean. And you do have to think back. Steve says, I feel like that. I try to keep silent. If you're silent, then you can't fall out. I try to get along with people if at all possible. I do too. I do. But then sometimes I feel like I'm always the one bending, always the one giving. And that gets exhausting too. So you really need to know your boundaries, know your, have those limits. And I just had 2 gals move in on the other side of me. And the owner of the home lives in a couple different states away. So I've been handling the rental agreement and everything. And they're just the sweetest little girls. They're young 20-somethings. They barely have, furniture, if anything, other than a television. And they're just the sweetest little girls. So, but this is a short story that it puts things into perspective, what Steve was saying and what we've kind of been talking about. I don't normally pick up hitchhikers or people walking. And so I'm driving out of my neighborhood one day, and I see someone walking. It's very close to the entrance of our subdivision, and he has just like 3 grocery bags in each hand, and he's walking. He's covered in sweat. I mean, it was like one of those 100+ days here, 100+ humidity. I made the eye contact as I was driving, so I thought, crap, he saw me looking at him, so I got to go back. So I turned around and I rolled down my window and I said, would you like a ride? Because I figured if he's walking with groceries, he can't be, you know, that bad of a guy that's going to like steal my car and kill me. So he said, yes, ma'am, I would. So he gets in and I said, my car is dirty. The inside, he says, that's fine. He gets in. I said, would you like to put your groceries in the back? He says, no. And he's holding them on his lap. But he immediately says, hi, my name is, and he introduced himself. And my mind is thinking, wow, this young man, early 20s, he's got some good manners that I wouldn't have expected. And I said something about it being hot, and he says, well, I'm used to it. I work and he worked at a store that is probably 2 miles away from our house, our subdivision, maybe 3. And I said, you don't have a car? And he's like, no, but he says, I have 3 girls and I love them to death and I will do whatever it takes for them. And that just so impressed me that in this day and age, here is a young man, he's married, that will walk to work and back, will walk to the grocery store, which is even further away, and back. I was just very impressed with him. He was just a delight to talk to, but it really put things into perspective of the being neighborly, the community involvement, and it ended up he lives very close to my house. I walk my dog past his house every day. It's always very well kept. And I know the landlord who actually lives across the street from me. And even last night I said, hey, I met your tenant one day. And he says, yeah, he told me that you gave him a ride. And because my neighbor was putting out some bikes. And I said, if you leave those bikes on the curb, they're going to be gone by morning. And he says, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping somebody will take them off my hands. And I said, well, your tenant needs one. He says, well, I already gave him one too. And that's when he had the conversation. So, Steve says, now I have a positive connection, and it was refreshing to see that there's still good people out there wanting to go to those great lengths to take care of their families. But it also was a reminder to me, again, don't be judging people. You don't know what is going on with their life. So here's this, young man walking with groceries. He's doing the best he can for right now, and God love him. God bless them. And just a delightful person, but it really puts things back in perspective again, and even how blessed we are. We may complain that, I complain I want a new car. I have a dog who gets in the car, so my car is always sometimes dirty, but where I live, the sun is brutal here. So it's always trying to describe how to, the material parts on the car, the inside interior, they start to come unglued real quickly and fade and everything from the sun, no matter if you put all those things in. And, so it's just materialistic stuff. It's not important stuff. The car runs fabulous. I have no reason to complain. But it puts it all into perspective. So I think, what's our takeaway from today? Use our God-given talents. Help other people discover their God-given talents. Use the presence we were given by God. Help others develop theirs. Focus on the presence. Again, I want to kind of make sure we're leaving on a positive here, but depending on the economy where you live, your presence is very important. And it's not just the physical, what people can see, it's the internal. How do you make them feel? I think that's the one that's very, very important. Because there's enough negativity out there, enough bullying, enough, so many negatives out there that You might be that one person, even if it's just the smile. I can't remember which day on this blab somebody said something about just smiling, making it a point to even just smile and ask the person at the checkout counter how their day is going. Those little things do matter. It's all part of that presence. It's how you leave them feeling. And that's part of also just being present in the situation. Kind of sometimes we function from more of in an unconscious state than a conscious state, and driving is one of them. I can leave my neighborhood and not tell you who I passed, or other days it just caught my attention that he was walking on that day and something said pull over and go back and offer him a ride. Yes, I was late for where I needed to be by a few minutes, which is one of my biggest pet peeves, but I felt it outweighed the being on time. So, and I actually was glad I gave him a ride, because he had a lot of frozen foods in those bags, and they probably would have really been thawed out and not very tasty, which would have been a waste of his money. But as we go forward with our day, regardless if it's afternoon where you're at, evening, or early morning, I'm trying not to be negative, but the sun's not even up yet here. It's starting to peak, but we're headed into that fall dark zone. So, be the, sounds cliche, be the bright spot in somebody's day, be the light in somebody's day, empower people. Maybe you make it a goal that I'm going to brighten 5 people's lives today. I'm going to, empower 5 people, or at least make them feel good about themselves. And I know that can be hard at times. And there's no tangible reward. Good morning, JC. There's not probably a tangible, it's an intangible. It's something that's going to be felt in your heart. But that smile, that one uplifting, and I think it's easy for women. We were talking about the networking and going in where no one, or somebody standing there by themselves. And it's easy for, to go up to a woman. You can always compliment her on her shoes, her hair, something, and she will just take that and feel that will empower her. Man, I don't know what we could talk about with you, because it's different. We're just different how we're wired. So, choose, make it a choice, a conscious choice to do good, to go out there and brighten someone's day, to help them step in. Because you know what, when you empower them or make them feel better, it changes their presence. Their presence, the way they project themselves, is going to change. Thanks for the love, Dr. George. Is going to change for the rest of that day. Smiling, Steve says, smiling at someone is a free gift. It is, but I don't, I know for me, and this is another just quick story because we're running out of time. I grew up, I'm from Iowa. We wave, we, drive down the dirt road, we wave. That's just the era I grew up. We smile, everybody speaks. I was in the grocery store one day, and this was, I don't know, mid 2000s, probably maybe 5-6 years ago. And you know how you're at the grocery store and you're in the grocery cart putting everything up on the little conveyor belt for the grocery girl, and you're doing this number. Well, there was a guy standing behind me, and he's just all, And so as I'm looking down, of course, we made eye contact. So as we made eye contact, I just smiled and kept about my business. Well, when I'm out at my car putting the groceries away, this guy comes up to me and he says, "What was that smile all about? What did that mean?" And he's all grouchy, just like that. And it so unnerved me. I didn't know what I said. It was a smile. But what did it mean? Why did you smile? And again, I'm just like, I'm from Iowa, and that's what we do. We smile as a silent hello or a greeting or something. And I mean, it just rattled me. I didn't know if he was gonna like throw me in my trunk and slam the hood or what, And so that did kind of like, after a while, I was like, well, maybe I'm not supposed to go around smiling at people and saying hello. And, you know, I'm just supposed to be in that zone too of mean, nasty. And, you know, so things like that can rattle you for a while. And then, but as Steve says, smiling is a free gift. And smiling uplifts, strange man. He was very strange, but it was just scary. It was like, what do you mean? What does that mean? I don't know. I wasn't trying to pick him up. I wasn't flirting. I was just a smile. To me, a smile is a silent hello. And yeah, people tend to smile back. It should be uplifting, not to cause you to have a I'm trying to, but when you are a slave of giving a smile in any situation, then it's not an election, it is a behavior response. But I think, you know, the people still appreciate a smile. You know, and I kept thinking, and I'm one of those people that thinks of things to say afterwards. And I kept thinking, what was I supposed to, you know, I wanted to say so bad. Well, we made eye contact. Would you have preferred I stuck my tongue out at you and made a face, or what? You know, so, you know, people are funny. Human behavior is interesting, and you never know what kind of bad day somebody's having, a snippety day. It's the little things. It really is the little things. Good morning, Jennifer. It's the little things. So go out and have a great day. Dana wasn't on here this morning. Well, Miss Dana, he's not joining us. Didn't join us today. Go out and have a great day. Use the presents that you were given, the gifts you were given. Develop a, you know, be aware of your presence. Start focusing on, you know, taking a mental note. What am I doing during this situation? You know, do you shake hands, or do you have a nervous hand? I'm not a good handshaker. You know, that does take practice and skill. And it's one I have to remind myself, even going into a business meeting with other women, to be the one to extend my hand first a lot of times, because it catches people off guard, but it is a very good communication skill tool to use for respect. A kind of face for all situations, then you don't choose. It is only being well adapted to the society when you are living. Okay, I think we're going back to the smile. Well, you know, we all have different smiles. I'm told I have, a friend counted, I have 7. And they are situational, and they all mean something different. Hey, Steve, have a good lunch. We are about ready to wrap it up. Have a great afternoon where you are, and we'll be back here tomorrow. So I hope you can join us. Have a blessed day. So Chris has just joined us. Guys, we're here every Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. I'm Coach Jaynine, and I'm here sharing morning motivation at 6 a.m. Well, I start at 6 a.m. my time here in the United States. I'm in North Carolina. And the goal, the mission is to just get you in the right frame of mind to go out and have a wonderful day. I read from Joel Osteen's book, a short passage, and then we either talk about that or we talk about something else. So today we were talking about presence, using your God-given talents as you develop your presence, the way you project yourself, and then being present, actually physically, consciously in the situation. So presence, presence, and presence was the topic today. So I'm just going to end with the prayer that for becoming a better you that's in our book here that we're going with. So today's prayer is, help me to overcome, Father, the things I've been letting limit my life, and let me press forward beyond them into the life of freedom and favor you designed for me. So remember, even though you were given God gave us these wonderful gifts to use, it's not always easy using them. It's not always easy realizing what those gifts are. But all of the uncomfortable, negative, all of those things have prepared us to move forward and embrace our gifts and be successful. So Hey, Keith, good morning. Which book are we using? It's the Daily Readings. This book is so old and battered. Become a Better You, 90 Devotions for Improving Your Life Every Day. They're just like 2 pages, and they're 2 pages only because I accidentally bought the like I can't see version, so it's like huge print. But it's just, I used to read this one every morning, and then I've read the other ones that, came out. And I just decided to pick this one up and have it the beginning of our blab. So you can always go back and listen to the replays. And even if you only wanted to listen to Joel Osteen, every morning, the beginning of the replay is Joel Osteen before we jump in with a topic. So hopefully you'll find those very beneficial, very uplifting when you need it. Again, a daily dose of motivation, of Moto motivation. So that's what I'm here for. Good morning, Steve. And so that's my reason for being here on this blab every weekday morning, is to help you start your day with a positive mindset. A few reminders, which today Steve and some others, Austin, have been on here reminding us that, it is about community. It is about uplifting others. It's not always about us, but part of that uplifting is being aware of the presence part, the PRESENCE, is about how do we make others feel? How do we, we've all been around those people that love to make people feel less than or uncomfortable. And again, I hope I don't do that to people. And when I'm watching their body language or the words that are coming out of their mouth, the tone, the meekness, I do make an effort to make them feel better. I hope that everyone that, I work with or come in contact feels better about themselves, the situation, or whatever it is after having a conversation with me. So that's, I guess I don't want to call it the challenge for today. We had talked about going out and empowering at least 5 people today, make them feel good, whether it's through the smile, through a compliment on the work they're doing. Go have a great day, and like I said, use the gifts you were given, be fully present in the situation, and make others feel good. Really make others feel good about themselves, because life is tough. Life is hard enough without purposely tearing somebody down. So I'm going to stop because Miss Savannah needs to go for her walk. The sun is trying to come up here. I just, again, wish everyone a great day, and we'll be back tomorrow. So everyone, have a fabulous day. Go empower and uplift everybody. Go, again, challenge today is 5 people. Go brighten 5 people's day. And if you can't get away from your desk, then do it through an email. Just send somebody an email that says, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to me vent, or whatever it was. But let that person know that they're important to you. Because it matters. It's the little things. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It's just a few sentences. Thinking about you today. Hope your day's going well. Have a great day. Something like that. So I could go on and on because this is a topic I love, but I won't, because we need boundaries, and my boundary is 1 hour. That's it. So everyone, have a fabulous day. I do appreciate you all being here, giving the love, giving the comments, engaging, even if you're not jumping in the hot seat. We had a lot of comments and interaction in the chat window here, which is fabulous. So I'm very appreciative of you all jumping on, so I'm not here by myself wondering if I should be here. So again, I'm going to hush. Everyone, have a great day. Go uplift 5 people.